Hello, my name is Christina Hatler, and I have a brand called Mexique based in Oaxaca City, Mexico. I also have a store in the center of Oaxaca that sells the pieces that we make. We make one of a kind, beautiful, naturally dyed clothing. This new collection called Maza was primarily using silks with natural dyes and some beautiful vintage and antique textiles that I have in my collection. So this series of videos is going to explain and kind of just visually show how I go about doing the colors, working with natural dyes, the processes. I thought it would be interesting for people to understand how labor intensive it is. It's something I deeply love and appreciate doing, but it is complex. So to create the fabric for this collection, which was about 40 meters of different kinds of fabrics, it took me approximately an entire week of working like 14-hour days to complete. And so you'll see the results and the process through these videos. Planning in advance is very helpful when you want to develop a color palette. So the palette that I was looking for was kind of golden yellow, purple greens, a little bit of flash of pink, and some kind of darker, almost black colors, all mixed together. So I started out with the yellow, which is the pomegranate skins, as the base color for everything. And so I dyed initially all of the meters of fabric in the yellow granada skins. That took about 2.5 days to complete. And the pomegranate skins actually are collected by a woman who has a stand selling the pomegranate little fruits, and she saves me the skins. So I dried those over the course of a couple of months, and now I'm using them in the collection. And pomegranate has the most gorgeous golden color, as you'll see at the end of this first video. So I'm going to post another video about the second part of the process to achieve the kind of fuchsia pinks and purples, which are stunning, using a special wood called palo campeche. So that will be the kind of second layer of the color scheme. And as you'll be able to see, the colors of the pomegranate are just stunning. They're so beautiful and shimmer on top of silk. Pomegranate skins are a very traditional dye that is used in Oaxaca, and I generally try to find, especially for the natural dye materials, I try to source locally and forage, I find, on walks, and slowly collect over the course of many years the materials. And then once I have enough of that specific material, I'll start making something with it. So this is the case of the granada skins, because I collected them from the woman at the market. The next step to the dye process is chopping wood. I source palo campeche, which is a wood typically from the Yucatan Peninsula. It's a tropical wood, and it gives a very beautiful bright color, fuchsia. I source this wood from the markets of Oaxaca in the curandera section, which means the natural healers. Many of the dye materials I use actually come from the curandera section of, the very ancient open-air, old-school markets where everything is sold. Meat, vegetables, and the curandera section is honestly my favorite part of the market, because you can just find anything to heal yourself, so natural medicines, but also many of the plants that are used for healing are also used in the natural dye process. Palo campeche is fun to use because the color is so bright, and you can achieve fuchsias, dark purples, light purples, black even, depending on how you treat it. The only thing with palo campeche is it is not something that is called light fast. So it is highly affected by light if you don't treat it properly. And that's where the previous dye, the granada skin, the pomegranate skin, comes into play. It helps this fugitive color attach to the fabric. And so it acts as a layer. And that's where I come back to having to plan the entire process, because there are many plants that are gorgeous with color, but then they fade very quickly. So you need to treat it properly. And that's where a high quality natural dyed garment comes into play, because you obviously want that color to stay as long as possible. Another way to attach the color to a fabric is also using alum, which is, I'm sure you've seen it, that rock crystal deodorant sold in stores. You'll see me here grinding it. This is another material that I purchase at the curandera healer section of the markets. They sell it because it's used in many different processes. Apart from natural dyes, you can use it to pickle. It's usually sold like in the grocery store in a powdered form, but the rock crystal is actually its natural form, how it's mined. And so that quickly dissolves in water, and you'll see it kind of looks like this beautiful cloudy, kind of thick cloudy water. So after I treat the silk fabric in the alum mixture, I then proceed to dye it in the palo campeche. So here in the video, you'll see also me unfolding a type of shibori that I did with big kind of clips from the office supply store. They're great because they have a very tight clamp, and I kind of just love the random nature of just the surprise of how it will turn out. I don't like to plan. I plan generally the color palette and kind of have an idea of what I want, but I'm not so controlling where I need to plan the pattern of the kind of print that comes out. I like to leave a lot to chance and just how I'm feeling in the moment, which I think is part of the creative process, at least for me. I love just kind of instinctually feeling like in the moment that I want to do something and play with it that way. So you'll see I clamped it and it left a beautiful pattern, and you can see actually under the bright kind of red fuchsia is the yellow. So that's where the layering of the colors start to appear, and it's just fantastic. I also wanted to have circular patterns, so I figured out a way to do that and layer them, and it just turned out beautifully. So as you can see from the videos, kind of the end result of all the patterns and the mixtures together. The next part of the process is creating the clothing. That is another really beautiful and exciting process. We have a nice, very light-filled sewing studio in Oaxaca, and I work with one woman who is an incredible self-taught seamstress, and I make the patterns and cut the patterns, and she helps me. Her name is Loida. She helps me sew everything. The clothing that I decide to make also is similar to the process of the dyeing in that I don't plan too much. I wait till I see the fabric finished, and then I kind of go in and see what I would like to make out of the pieces. So I basically let the fabric itself inspire me to what it will become. And so some pieces I use patterns that I have some pre-made, or I make new ones, depending on kind of what I feel like I want to make with it. And then others I drape directly on the mannequin. We sew everything that we sell with French seam interiors, so the construction is just as gorgeous inside as it is outside. I think when you're shopping, it's so important to always look inside the piece of clothing you're looking at to see how it's sewn and constructed, because if you're seeing like threads flying everywhere, it's just poorly made. I also work with a woman in the centro who hand makes our buttons, fabric covered buttons with a metal base. I try to avoid using plastic whenever possible. Most everything we have is plastic free, and I think it's really important to push yourself as a designer to make things that will last forever, and something that has a plastic zipper will break much more quickly than if it has a metal zipper. And so, yeah, we like buttonholes, we hand sew those as well. I just think they look better and the quality is just longer lasting. And for me, that's kind of the goal. The pieces are not cheap, but because of the high quality and the hyper focus on quality that I put into each and every piece that is in the store, I think it's worth it. Nowadays, you need to kind of think of clothing as something to invest in that you can wear forever. So, pieces that will really last a lifetime. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I enjoyed making it. It's really, for me, just a pleasure to be able to make this clothing and have each piece find its special home. I hope you can visit our store in Oaxaca Centro. And if not, we do have a website. We have pieces online. The clothing, not so much. But if you do find that you are just in love with something that you see me posting on Instagram or from wherever social platform, let me know and I can send you measurements. We also do occasionally put the clothing up online, so you can subscribe to our newsletter to find out more about when we'll have our special kind of pop-ups on our website.